Welcome back. You're watching South Africa Open for Business. So come February and March next year, and we'll see all these important buyers descend on Sandton for the annual Meetings Africa. And I would imagine there's a lot of schmoozing involved. Let's talk to James about how you guys actually managed to get COP17. It's a huge, huge event. Some 20,000 delegates. It's definitely the biggest event on the African continent.
Well, what's critical to note, Lionel, is that your marketing approach for business tourism is very different to leisure tourism. One has to be very aggressive. One has to put forward a very compelling argument to your potential buyer. And what's important to note, it's about building strong relationships. And it really involves a decision which is far more riskier than the decision made by a typical leisure tourist. And the reason why Durban was able to win the bid was as a result of many reasons. One has to put forward that compelling reason. And
what is the number one reason why Durban won COP17?
The number one reason is because of the facilities of Durban. There's no doubt that the ICC is currently by far the biggest facility of its kind in Africa. And the huge advantage of Durban is that we can create what is referred to as an island site, where we can literally secure a very significant precinct that can house up to 40,000 people.
So 20,000 delegates, what's the economic impact of that?
Well, the economic impact of the climate change conference, just in terms of delegate spend on the Durban economies, is going to be way in excess of 250 million rand. And then over and above that, one has to realize that business tourism goes way beyond business tourism. It's all about economic development and image enhancement as well. And the image enhancing impact of the climate change conference on the city of Durban and South Africa and Africa as a whole is going to be worth far more than the considerable investment.
Lindiwe, are you telling me that Johannesburg couldn't have done a COP17?
It's a very difficult one, because again, if you're looking at it from, this is a climate change conference, and one of our key argument was the fact that we have UN headquarters based here. So in terms of setting up, it's an additional cost from them. And also just from a direct air access point of view, because flying an additional hour there, it's an extra carbon emission and everything. But for us, we are excited because the country has won, It's good for South Africa. But at the end of the day, National Environmental Affairs, they have to, in line with United Nations, really look at the security factors, look at the venue itself, where the whole event and the negotiations are going to take place, and the fact that Durban has that potential of creating that particular island. But obviously, if you are talking at it from a sustainability and a carbon emission, it becomes another different.
No, you just lost this one. Next time. Amanda, I want to bring you in with regards our competition as a country, right? I mean, we have all this intercity competition, the tale of three cities. I love it. But now let's talk about how South Africa is open for business, really. And I'm talking about our traditional competitors, Europe, Egypt, Kenya. Why is South Africa the best possible destination in Africa at the moment?
I think what we were saying, I think when you talk about leisure, it is about the mountains and the sea and whatever. When we talk here, we talk about infrastructure, knowledge, the universities. We have of the best universities in this country. I mean, in Africa, and I think with that, and then also, of course, the people need to be active. Your academics need to be active, and I think they are very active when it's coming to participating in association business. And then, of course, like I said, the infrastructure that we have the SAA, we have all the beautiful convention centers, and we have a very mature industry, I must say, because of the number of events that we host. Your professional conference organizers, your tour operators that specifically play in this industry are very, very mature, and therefore I think we are really up there. And we are
international association meetings is really the criteria when it comes to the ICA rankings, and when we look at the hit list, Cape Town 42, Durban 10, Joburg 9. Lindiwe, you can't be too happy with Johannesburg's last position there.
Not really. I think we need to look at it in terms of partnership and a shared common vision. I think what Durban and Cape Town, they need to be commended for the fact that they've managed to really get the industry to speak in one voice. If you're talking about the Cape Town figures, they're a reflection of the entire Western province. Just like KwaZulu Natal, they're a reflection of the entire KZN, and ours is just Joburg, because we are trying to get Ekurhuleni, we are trying to get Tshwane to really bring their numbers.
What should the figure be saying for Joburg?
I mean, if you look at now, in terms of how Tshwane has been doing with all these research institute and the higher learning institutions, that they've improved to a certain level, and even Ekurhuleni, I mean, with Emperor's Palace, with all these new convention facilities, they've been doing fairly well. So in a true reflection, if you are looking at Joburg in the context of a region, we should be looking at to the region of 20s, 30s.
I think if Durban wins, if Cape Town wins, if Joburg wins, South Africa wins as a country.
Absolutely.
But I had a very interesting chat with you, James, on the phone, where you talked about the success of a meeting is not just about getting the meeting, it's about the number of delegates, it's about making that meeting have the right impact in the industry. You want to talk to us about that, James?
Yeah, well, what's critical when going after a particular meeting, it's important to look at the potential return on investment. So that's one of the most critical steps that one follows in terms of what's called qualifying a lead. But once you've actually won a bid, it's critical to try and ensure that you have as many delegates as possible attending that event, and also ensuring that the event is successful. And that's another critical role of a convention bureau, which is referred to as delegate boosting, and then also adding value to a conference. Because
let's talk about those value adds. Some of the events, like the opening ceremony, a city sometimes has to host. Sometimes you have to throw the venue in as well.
Definitely.
Tell us about the return on investment on some of your previous events.
Well, one of the most important return on investments is the fact that between 20 to 40% of conference delegates return to a business tourism destination as a leisure tourist. So if you give them a great experience through great reception functions, by ensuring that they go on great pre and post tours, which are really the value adds that I've been referring to, you could ultimately ensure that that event brings substantial return after the fact in terms of leisure tourism. But another important return on investment is what is referred to as capacity building. Conferences help to enhance the skills of students in a particular destination, of professionals in a destination. It's important to note that some of the most important learning that takes place after tertiary education is the learning that employees gain from attending important conventions. And
thanks for that, James. We're actually running out of time. I just wanted a last statement from Amanda, at least from both of you as well, three of you. At the moment, the industry, Amanda, is worth 5 billion per annum. And we've got this National Conventions Bureau, and one has the impression that you're going to shake the industry up. What targets are you working at? Are we going for 10 billion next year, in the next 5 years?
I think it's very difficult to say, but what I want to say, I think it's very conservative. The numbers that you have is very conservative. Okay. So we will definitely also engage in, in economic impact studies, and I think we just touched on that. Economic impact study, the business tourism, James just now said that 20 to 40% of all people come back, or they stay on. That means it's already extra money, from a leisure. So the business tourism brings even leisure, income.
So how much are you going to boost this figure up to?
I don't want to say. I want
closing remarks?
For us as Joburg, we'll always make sure that we really invest in business tourism, because that is primarily who we are, and that is why we are one of the big parties towards Meetings Africa. As you know, it's always hosted at the end of February, the last week of February in Johannesburg at Sandton Convention Center. And we really believe that the city is really geared up to really ensure that business tourism become one of the key sectors in driving
I think on that note, we're going to have to end it there. Thank you very much to my guests. It was a pleasure having you. I didn't realize we'll talk so much on business tourism, but clearly there's a lot more that we need to do.
Yeah.
Well, improving the success rates and leading into actual businesses is what we're talking about when we talk about business tourism. And thank you very much for watching South Africa Open for Business. From me, Lionel Skink, and the rest of the team. It's goodbye for now.